Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. There's a live look from our Unico U.S. Bancorp Tower building downtown Portland. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, you know our first guest from his series, Adam Ruins Everything, the comedy game show, The G Word, and his latest project tackles living with ADHD in his stand-up special, Unmedicated.
I also realized that there's just whole activities that I just shouldn't do anymore because it's dangerous for me to do them with ADD. A couple years ago, I finally quit driving. Oh my God, I am so much happier now. For real. For real. No, I am. I'm not a fan of any form of transportation where I can become a murderer by accident. If I kill you, I want you to know the reason why.
We welcome back to AM Northwest comedian Adam Conover. You actually quit driving? Seriously?
I did for many years in Los Angeles. Yeah, for about 6 years. I haven't been driving. I get around by public transportation. A lot of people say that LA doesn't have good public transportation. It's better than you think. Yeah, I just feel more comfortable getting around my community that way.
Oh, I don't blame you. I think that makes sense. I mean, you don't want to be a murderer, so there's that.
Yeah.
You're at the Aladdin tomorrow. Tell me about the special, though, the Unmedicated special.
Sure. So this came out about a month ago on a streaming platform called Dropout, a comedy streaming platform. I'd been working on it for 2 years. It's the most personal comedy I've ever done. It's about my childhood diagnosis with ADD back in the early 90s. I was diagnosed very early and very young. I was medicated with stimulant medications like Adderall, Ritalin, those. Those help a lot of people. For me, they gave me a lot of side effects. These drugs are, these are amphetamines. They don't really tell you that when they give them to you.
Yeah.
They don't really tell you it's the same stuff that you see on Breaking Bad with a little bit of chemical tweaks, you know? And, I had side effects that I had to deal with that eventually forced me to quit taking the drugs, and I just had to come up with these coping mechanisms to help me, get along with my day completely unmedicated. And so I wanted to write this hour both to tell my own story and make some comedy out of it, but hopefully there'd be some other people in the same situation who are struggling with attention deficit disorder who could find a little comedy in it.
I've heard you describe yourself when you were a child as a weird kid.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, oh, that's a great photo of me. I mean, first of all, look at that shirt. How weird is that shirt? Very painted florals. I'd wear that now, actually. No, I was really impulsive. I had no, really self-control. I used to bite the other kids at school. I used to bite the feet off my sister's Barbie dolls, chew the feet off. I was very orally motivated, I guess, for some reason. I love to learn things, but I didn't really have a filter, so everything I learned would just pop out of my mouth, in the middle of class as the teacher was talking. That's one of the reasons they were like, all right, what's wrong with this kid? And they took me to a psychiatric research hospital and did all these tests on me to see what was wrong with me. And what they found was I had this disturbing new condition called ADD that had just, become well known in the early 90s.
What were some of the side effects you mentioned, if you don't mind sharing, of the drugs you had to take as a kid?
I mean, it's a lot like if you, the side effects you get from any stimulant, it prevented me from sleeping. I would stay up late, almost every single night. It made me jittery. I will say, I discussed this in a little bit more explicit detail in the special, but I started abusing it when I was in college. There's things you can do with Adderall that you can't do with aspirin, there's intake methods that are a little bit riskier and give you a little bit more of a rush, and those were things that I messed around with. Wish I hadn't, but, I was 19 years old and no one had told me that, this was a possible thing that could happen with the drug. So I started taking, eventually I was prescribed sleeping pills in order to help me sleep. A form of Ambien is what I was prescribed.
Oh.
But those didn't really go together. The Ambien doesn't really help you sleep when your body's, rolling on amphetamine. So I would just sort of stay up and hallucinate all night, and talk to the posters on the wall. It was a pretty weird time in my life.
Wow.
And when I wanted to come up with a new thing to write an hour of comedy about, I was like, I think this is some stuff I should talk about.
This is it, for sure. Tell me about your life. You have a partner, Lisa. Tell me about her, how you two met.
Oh my God, she's it's wonderful. Oh, there we are. We met about 15 years ago. We were introduced by our friend Raphael, who's actually the creator of the show BoJack Horseman, who's one of my early comedy partners. And you know, she actually is a cartoonist. She is the artist who designed the look of that show. She did all of the art for the show BoJack Horseman on Netflix. I did a few voices for it. Later on, she created the show Tuca and Birdie that came out on Netflix and later Adult Swim. She's a brilliant artist, and that was a picture of her with her horse Juniper that she has in a stable here in Los Angeles. And she's an animal lover and just, you know, an incredible person, an incredibly funny person.
Well, speaking of animals, there is a great picture of the horse.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Junie.
Tell me about Annie, because we're big dog people here on AM Northwest. Tell me about Annie.
Our dog Annie is a cattle dog. Oh my God, look at these photos you're finding. That photo is incredible. She is a cattle dog. She's about 4 years old. She's the smartest dog you've ever met. She can lie down. She can do bang, you know, where she plays dead.
Yeah.
She can balance a piece of food on her nose and like hold it there for over a minute. She's an incredible dog.
Oh, that's so great. You know, it feels like things are going so much better now. I mean, look, we got over the COVID quarantine. The writer's strike must have been just a challenge.
It was, but you know, it was really exciting too. I was right in the middle of it. I was on the board of our guild and our negotiating committee. Others me with my Patton Oswalt. I got to meet all these incredible comedians on the picket line who I've been watching for years. It was a really amazing experience, right? Because we were all had to be out of work for 5 months. The companies held us out and refused to negotiate with us. But at the end of the day, we won, and we did it together by going out there and hitting the pavement. And it really proved to me that you can change the world. You know, this is election season, right?
Yeah.
And we're being told that you can only change the world by voting, by donating, by knocking doors for a political candidate. But it was proof that, like, you and I really have power in the world, and we can change the world around us if we use that power directly. We don't have to wait for politicians. We can get out there and, you know, help ourselves by ourselves.
Okay, this has to be a highlight. Being a clue on Jeopardy.
Oh my gosh.
That has to be, like, that is awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, as the title indicated, I was like, I think I know this one. What is Adam Ruins Everything? That was like such a highlight for me. And on the picket line, I later met a bunch of the Jeopardy writers because they were on strike with us as well. And I was like, hey, thank you for putting me on the show. And they were like, oh, did we? We forgot. We do hundreds of clues every day.
Did you know that was coming? Like, did you know they were going to do that?
I had no idea.
No
I somebody told me about it beforehand because I live on the West Coast, as do you. And so somebody texted me, and I was able to watch the episode and record it. And that's the only reason I have the recording. But no, they don't warn you. I was also recently a couple years ago, a New York Times crossword puzzle clue in the Sunday Times, and I have that framed on my wall because I did that crossword for years when I lived in New York, and it was like such an honor. It's such an honor to be considered important enough that the public might know who you are in a trivia context.
I love it. You're going to be at the Aladdin tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We're going to put all the information on our website at k2.com. Adam, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a thrill to see you again.
Good to see you again, too.